Hello and welcome back to Core Finance. I'm Matt Brown. I'm joined today by Shaun Richards, who is from Not a Yes Man Economics, and we're going to talk about QE.
We are.
And not yes men or not yes women in the case of Yelland. What are the Fed going to do tonight?
Well, there's various things here. They set out a plan, and this started in the summer of 2014. Mm-hmm. So it's taken them quite a while to get there, assuming they do tonight, which I think they will. In terms of scheduling out how they'll reduce the size of their balance sheet or bring down QE. Similar thing, not necessarily exactly the same thing, but the reason why I've been looking at it is there's been two contrary strands that you can sort of look at over time. One is that we're seeing central banks rail back. Then the other side is the Buzz Lightyear phrase, to infinity and beyond. Will this ever stop? Will it ever go away? And my point is that actually both can be true. And what I mean by that is, if you look at what the US Federal Reserve's announced, tonight's moves in scale will be baby steps, if they're even that far. They start with $6 billion a month in terms of US Treasuries, $4 billion a month mortgage-backed securities. After a year, that'll build up and total to be $50 billion US dollars. So after a year, then in the next year, so we're going from year one to year two, that'll be 600 billion. Well, the balance sheet's 4.5 trillion, so once you start doing the maths, at that speed, it will take quite a long time, assuming that they keep that up. And then where you have on the other side of that coin is, when's the next recession going to arrive? So will they then be expanding again, and you never actually reach a point where it's all gone, or even brought back to what people might consider normal? Because central banks had balance sheets before, just not of this size. So there's a lot in that, in what they announce, what happens next. Moving on from it is the issue of sort of market reaction, because if you look at where bond yields are, they're amazingly low, considering that's about to happen. But I think a lot of that is due to special factors, the way inflation's been, and also the change, assuming it comes, is actually quite small. If we skip now to Europe and the euro area, we had the thing, depending whether you prefer the phrase yesterday, sources, as in HP or tomato, that they were now reconsidering whether they were going to taper some more of their programme, which is a change. It was only 10 days ago we were told it was a done deal and so on. But if you look behind that, why might this be so? Well, for example, this morning, I don't know if it is right now, but earlier when I looked, the euro was above 120 against the US dollar. Yesterday, it reached a high since that famous statement from the Swiss National Bank against the Swiss franc. So there's various factors in play here that if we look forwards and you look at how the euro's appreciated, you'd expect, say, about 0.3 or 0.4 to be off inflation on the currency move. Just so people are aware, I've seen others get a lot higher numbers than that. I'm not quite sure where they get them from, but anyway, that sort of order. And of course, then you start to get a theoretical basis for the European Central Bank carrying on. And so we're back to infinity and beyond again. We come close,
The thing with the bonds is there isn't an infinite amount of bonds. There comes a point when they're buying their own bonds almost. It becomes, there's only so many they can buy. I mean, obviously there's new issues and
more awkwardly
maturities.
than that, they actually have rules as the amounts they're going to buy. And so this has posed a problem. One of the places it's posed a problem, which we're going to look at later, is Portugal, actually. Just did a quick thing. One of the reasons why that is, they bought a lot of them before. And not everyone, but a lot of people have forgotten that, so trips over the numbers there. But it's true in other countries, such as Germany and so on, that they're running out of them to buy. Of course, the cautionary note here is, though, that central banks are now willing to buy other assets, like corporate bonds, in the case of Japan, ETF equities, property ETFs as well. So we could see them widening the definitions.
Understood.
But coming back to the UK, it's happening right now. Well, actually, I'm exaggerating. 2:30 this afternoon, which is another 1.125 billion, and it's reinvesting a bond that's matured. So it's easy to think that the story's over. In fact, there's still a lot going on in opposite directions.
So we look to the Fed tonight, and let's see what they come out with. But Shaun, thank you very much for joining us today.